There's only 24 hours in a day. I got a pair of earbuds and I wish there was a way that I could know just what I want to listen to. There's 150,000 shows that I'm not sitting through. When the world is dark and boring, let us do your exploring. Pod on pod. Pod on pod.
Welcome to Pod on Pod, a guide to the world of podcasts because it's not your daddy's radio. We're your hosts.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Joel. Hello, friends. As November continues, that means that Listener Appreciation Month continues. We are rounding third base, I think it's safe to say, if we're using the baseball analogy here in the month. And that means that it's now time for us to review Startalk Radio.
Yeah.
Startalk Radio from Neil Degrasse Tyson.
These are exciting times.
He's got well, we're going to get to it in a minute. First of all, let me tell you where you are and what's going on here. You're on Pod on Pod. PodOnPod.com is where you can find us. You can also find us at Pod on Pod on Twitter. Facebook, just search for Pod on Pod. We're in iTunes and Stitcher, on SoundCloud and YouTube. And what we do is every week we review a different podcast so that you don't have to. Generally, you only get episodes from us on Wednesday during Listener Appreciation Month. Every November, you're going to get 2 episodes a week.
Not because we actually wanted to do it, but because you guys sent us in so many submissions, we wanted to get to as many as we possibly could.
Yeah, we appreciate it. No. It's been a lot of fun. It has been a lot of fun. So every week what we do is we break down a show with 4 criteria. We talk about audio quality, host likability, production values, and then the content itself. And the reason we do this is because there's so many shows out there. There's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of shows, and there are not that many that are good. There are many that are good. There are thousands that are good, that are great even.
Percentage-wise.
It's a small number sometimes. So we like to weed out some of the better ones that we want you to pay attention to and check out. This month, we've been doing shows that have been suggested to us by our listeners. And in this case, this show, Startalk Radio, was submitted by Derek Arnold. Thank you, Derek, because it's a show that I enjoyed quite a lot. I got some listener email, though, that I want to share with you to start the show here before we get into our actual review of Startalk Radio. This is from, this comes from Carolyn Delbert.
Ooh, a lady.
Yeah, a lady indeed. She says, "Hi, guys. I love the show and I listen every week. But you two were like a mean old married couple in this episode with all the weird disagreeing and the comments. Maybe you're both tired and grumpy, like a couple of hungover Griffin McElroys."
That's funny.
Anyway, I still listen to the whole thing, so it couldn't have been that bad. Thanks for all your great work. Get some sponsors and make some money. From your lips to God's ears.
I think that's a fair assessment. We can get grumpy sometimes. We're people.
In particular, I think she was talking about the most recent episode. You and I discussed, what show did we discuss? It all bleeds together.
The Art of Manliness.
No, after The Art of Manliness, we did Blurry Photos.
Yeah, we did we did Blurry Photos.
No, we're doing Blurry Photos this week.
No, hold on. It's one like Blurry Photos. Well,
Bizarre States. Yeah, last week we did The Art of Manliness and
Okay.
Bizarre States.
So I was right?
No. Yes.
Okay.
Sort of.
I was right about the last episode. I wasn't right about the one you were talking about.
My feelings are hurt, and I'm going to be angry now. No. We're having a good time. Thank you, Carolyn, for listening anyway, even when we disagree and act like a grumpy old married couple. You are sort of like you know how people say they have like a work husband? You're my side gig husband. That's what you are.
That's got to be a pretty good gig.
It's a great gig. It's a great gig. We got one more listener mail. This one comes from Nathaniel Mordain. He says, "Hello, I love the show, and I'm loving Listener Suggestion Week. It's a month." Nathaniel, get it right. You must not love it that much.
Well, that's because I said it was my favorite.
No, you did. It's your favorite. It's my favoriteest week of the year.
Smart.
He said, "I was going to say that there's nothing more you can do, but there is maybe one, and that's to get Josh to fix his dang rating scale. Every time he rates a show that he hates, 0.5, and then he rates one he's ambivalent about, 0, I swear I break out in a rash. And it means that some terrible shows will have a combined rating of 1, 0.5 from both of you.
Yeah.
And some pretty good shows will have a 1 from you, 0 from Josh."
But isn't he glad that he knows that versus just some bum on the street? He's in. He is part of the group. He's a popper.
Yes.
Nathaniel is a popper.
Nathaniel is a popper. And all right, so that's our listener mail this week. Let's get into the crux of this thing. Let's talk a little bit about Startalk Radio with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? You want to start with content?
You know, there's kind of been a debate among the listeners of what, like, some want us to lead with content because they think it's the most important thing and it's showing us what they want to hear. I'm going to say host likability is by far and away the most important thing to a show. So I'm going to say let's lead with host likability.
All right. Well, we already have hinted to it. You and I both think this guy's got maybe the best voice that we've heard so far in podcasting.
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson could read me Dr. Seuss. He could read the alphabet, the phone book, probably, for quite a while, and I'd be glad to listen to him do it. It's an embarrassment of riches, though, really, when you think about him. First of all, he's arguably, I don't know, he's in pop culture, at least, he's probably the smartest or the second smartest person in the world, right? Like maybe he's not technically the smartest guy in the world or the second smartest guy, but as far as people we all know their name, it's Stephen Hawking and him, and maybe one's one and maybe one's the other. Who else do you know in pop culture that's smarter?
Tanaka Toshi. Man, I can't
See, if you can't remember his name, I'm saying that one doesn't count.
Okay, well, first off,
You might not remember my last name from day to day. Okay, fair enough. But Neil deGrasse Tyson's up there. That's the point. He's in the pantheon of modern thinkers and philosophers. But it's not just that he's smart. He is super charming. He's very witty, which is different than smart. Accessible. Yes, that's what whether it be through his like storytelling ability, his general like pop culture savvy, his friendliness with comedians and celebrities.
Some people who you think of as being extremely smart and intelligent, generally you think that they're going to lack on the social side a little bit, maybe be a little awkward, not be able to get their thoughts out. But man, he does a fantastic job.
Super fluid, and he moves right in and out. Anyway, I don't think that I could like him any more than I do. That's where I am on host likability. You with me?
Yeah, man. I would love to have a drink with him.
Let's move on to audio quality then, because that's sort of on the same token. This dude does have a great voice, and this show is very well recorded. So the voice is always well transmitted.
Yeah, but sometimes you get into the shows that are like recordings of a panel or something.
Yeah, no, the live episodes are different. We've talked about this before. This is a problem for everybody. A lot of times the rooms that you have for meetings and for conventions and for panels are not great rooms for recording. They're not set up for recording, and they don't set the equipment up properly, and so what you've got is a shoddily recorded show. But the regular studio shows are wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's move on then to production values. Limited.
I got to be I think because first off, there's a lot of commercials.
Well, there are a lot of breaks.
Yeah, there's a lot of breaks in this show.
But he doesn't. They don't do sounders during the show. They don't do sound effects. A lot of music
going in and out, man.
Yeah, it's music in and out of commercials, but the music is well thought out.
Oh man, I love it.
Always connected to the topic in some way. If we're talking about Gravity, it's literally he's playing Gravity by John Mayer. Coming into a break or out of a commercial.
I love when Beastie Boys are the intro, man.
Well, that's the intro almost every episode, I think. That's his theme song? Is that Intergalactic? I don't know the Beastie Boys well enough to know what song it is, but it is a Beastie Boys song. The music is well chosen, and it is well used in that it is to buffer, hey, here's our content versus here's our sponsor breaks. And he does have a lot of sponsors on this show.
Yeah.
It's one of the most listened to and downloaded shows out there, though, so it makes sense that he would be well sponsored. Then let's move on into the content. We're banging right through here. Content, this show is about discussing, to me, this is about pop culture, science, and very specifically where they mix. So like, for instance, one of the episodes that I listened to was the pseudosciences episode.
I listened to that one too.
It was a great one. Yeah. And the whole point of that episode was he solicited questions and responses, ideas, topics from Twitter followers, Facebook followers about pseudosciences, different things that either you think maybe is a thing, but people have told you that that's hook'em, or you think it's bunk, and somebody else, your aunt, just believes in those crystals, buddy.
I think that's a good episode that shows why he's so good on this podcast, because he doesn't necessarily he doesn't really he doesn't dig into those pseudosciences. Like, he's not bashing them. Really, he's not overly critical. He's not harsh. It's, hey, yeah, okay, well, this is This could be why they think that. But, when it comes down to brass tacks, and I mean, this is what it is. And
well, he said, I think very
you can't argue
specifically,
with that.
yes, I think very specifically in that episode, he says at one point, talking about people with varying beliefs, he says, I have no problem with, and no one should have any problem with, you believing whatever it is that you want to believe.
Yeah.
But to take something that I know that I can verify isn't true, and to try to force that on me or to somebody else, that's where you and I are going to have a problem.
Right.
But he's very cordial about it and presents all of these things in a very polite and accessible manner.
Right, exactly, which is what I think makes his show appeal to the masses like it does.
Absolutely. He often, if not always, has a comedian sort of co-host. And then occasionally, or more than occasionally, he also has sort of an expert panelist on as well to discuss whatever topic is on that week's show. Here at Pod, we like to listen to at least 3 episodes of a podcast. That gives us an idea on whether we're going to really enjoy the show. I ended up listening to several more than 3, and I'm now subscribed.
Well, it's also really easy to listen to more than 3 because some of them are like 4 minutes long.
No, I didn't even count any of those. I listened to a bunch of those mini episodes too. Those are called Startalk sound bites.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the main episodes is what I'm talking about. I listened to the Planet of the Apes episode.
I knew you would.
I love that movie. I love the series, and I enjoyed that episode. I listened to the Superheroes Cosmic Queries episode with Colin Jost, and I also listened to
Colin Jost.
Jost, I'm sorry. And I listened to the Primate Evolution episode with Dr. Ian Tattersall and Eugene Merman.
We almost listened to all the same ones.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
Since then, I've listened to a couple more. I've also listened to the Gravity episode, Cosmic Queries on Gravity. I listened to the Pseudosciences episode, which I didn't mention there. And I listened to one more at least. The topic eludes me. But I love this show. I like it quite a lot.
So the first 3 I listened to was the Pseudoscience episode, the Planet of the Apes episode, and the Superheroes with Colin Jost episode. That's weird. For all our grumblings,
we got a lot in common. Yeah, we do have a lot in common. Sort of like we're going to be buddies or something. So sometimes it's more almost like a loose, fun lecture atmosphere. Like in particular, I'm thinking about like the primate evolution. It struck me, I had a couple of college classes where we would bring in an expert or a practitioner or something, and the teacher of the class would sort of interview that expert for the class. And the whole time they're bringing back illustrations specifically and tying it to the curriculum that you've already talked about. I felt like in the Primate Evolution episode, there was a lot of that going on, him tying it to Planet of the Apes and things that they talked about in recent episodes of his show. But it was like him drawing that information out of their expert, Ian Tattersall. And then you got the other side of the coin, which is like the Cosmic Queries episodes, where it's sometimes kind of a rapid fire questions from the audience kind of deal. It's stump the genius.
Yeah, I feel like some of them are like most conversations are very surface, right?
Sure.
And I feel like it's very conversational, but I feel like they understand the purpose of them even recording the conversation. So I feel like they just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. It's not so much that the conversations are necessarily horizontally linear. It's more like the conversations are vertically linear.
Wow, that's a really good way to explain it. But yeah, no, it does. You sort of find yourself, you're 45 minutes in, you're like, we are way down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That's great. And you and I said it last week and when we were talking about doing this episode, and it's true. Neil deGrasse Tyson makes you feel smarter. And these podcasts make me feel smarter. Like I finished a Startalk Radio and I think, that was a valid and useful use of my time.
Unless it's a minute episode.
Well, but even then, I feel like I got a little minute chunk of knowledge, wrapped in 2 commercials for Nature Box.
So it's like 10 seconds. That's my only issue. Is
10 seconds with you is like a year of sheer happiness.
Yeah. We have a lot of conversations off air about length, right?
Yes.
I'm kind of starting to come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter to me if your show's 15 minutes, half hour, 3 hours long. It's more important to me for it to be consistent.
It really bothers you when one feed has multiple sorts of things. Like, don't give me a teaser and the show. Just give me the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm assuming that's what he's doing here. It's like, hey, we've got some of this content here, and I don't have time for a full episode, or there's a scheduling hole, or whatever. Or maybe it's just like, hey, we've got some more ads, I need to fill the time with all these ads,
which
and
is
so
what
I
I
got to put
think,
out a little bit more.
Could be what's the cause of it.
See, that doesn't bother me. I don't mind getting the other, and it would bother me if this was the only podcast or one of 2 or 3 that I listen to, because then I would be looking forward to the content. I get the little mini episode and I'd be mad because I'm done. I am never, my queue is never empty. Okay. I've got podcasts for months to listen to. So I don't mind when some of them are shorter than normal.
That's so selfish.
No, it's like, oh, a little sugar jolt, and then we move on to the next thing.
All right.
On to the next one.
Fair enough.
All right. So after we break down a show with the 4 criteria, audio quality, host likability, content, and production value, we then talk about our favorite moments. This show might have my favorite moment of any podcast ever in the history of our podcast listening, okay? It was in the Hank Azaria episode, or Hank Azaria, which I also didn't mention, but I listened to that one too.
I listened to that one too.
Yes, you did. You told me that. But the Hank Azaria episode, about halfway through their conversation, Hank Azaria uses the word codify. Did you hear it?
You mean codify?
No. He says codify, just like I used to, and you and my wife made fun of me for.
No, because you're wrong.
The word may be codify, but I've now heard a very intelligent performer use codify, and Neil deGrasse Tyson was in the room and didn't say anything about it. They put it out on a podcast like there wasn't anything wrong with it. I'm going to say codify is an acceptable use. That's Neil deGrasse Tyson approved. My favorite moment.
I'm not sure that conversation went the way that you're remembering it.
He said something about they were talking about.
I'm not talking about.
Oh, you and me?
Yeah.
I was in the other room. I said codify, and you said no, it's codify. And you guys told me how it was, and then you went in the other room, and I checked it on Siri. That's how it happened.
No, okay. This is off. We're going to cut all this.
Yeah, sure. Or most of it.
I'm just saying that I looked at the pronunciation as you got up to walk to the refrigerator. I played it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's one pronunciation is my point.
Sure.
All right. So what was your favorite moment, sir? How are you going to beat that?
I'm trying to remember who he was interviewing, and it might have been Colin, but I can't remember because I've listened to a bunch of them. But off the top, because he'd had other episodes with him, off the top, he's like, hey, I just want to apologize because last time I kept calling you the wrong name.
Yeah?
Yeah, like mispronounced.
What had he call him?
Oh, man, I wish I could remember.
His last name. He had mispronounced his last name.
No, his first name. Like, kept calling him the wrong name.
Like Kevin?
The
He's
whole...
like, I'm here with comedian Kevin.
I can't remember. I'm sorry.
I don't know. That's
funny.
But
it was, I loved it off the top. He just... Hey, I'm putting this out there.
In the Planet of the Apes episode, they were talking about how great the special effects are now and how we're really at a point where this motion capture technology and what they can do with CGI, there really is no line. Like we can really do whatever we want to now. And Eugene Merman, his comedian sidekick, said, hopefully there won't be any people in the movies in the future. And I strongly agree. I want every movie to be about, marmots or something. I'm all about it. So that was our favorite moments. You got anything else there?
Nope.
All right, let's move on to alternate titles then. This show, Startalk Radio, is a pretty good one, especially because of the format. I don't know that he airs this on any actual terrestrial radio stations, but I would not be surprised to hear that, would you? Like it's broken up in the right way. You could very easily put this on an hour's worth of radio time.
Sure.
Yeah. I would call it, though, Cosmos, the official podcast.
No.
Why not?
Because this was so much before Cosmos.
Well, no, you're right. It was before he took over Cosmos from Carl Sagan, of course. But I feel like, especially in as big a podcast as this is, him being on TV doing Cosmos is a bigger thing for normal people. Like, the world knows him because of Cosmos, not because of Startalk Radio. All right, you got a better one?
Yeah, and a galaxy really, really close.
In a galaxy right here.
Yeah.
How about Neil deGrasse Tyson is smarter than you?
No, man. Because there were sometimes, I did find sometimes that the co-host was a little nose up.
What do you mean? A little elitist?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't find that.
All right.
All right, then. Eugene? Was that the one you had a problem with?
No, just some people come off pretty ridiculous.
All right, then. After we work on alternate titles, after we give you our favorite moments, we got to rate this thing so you can know exactly how we feel about this show. We don't give it thumbs up. We don't give it stars. We give it earbuds in. You want to go first? You want me to?
No, I'll go first.
Okay.
1.5.
Ugh, I'm disappointed.
That's,
Degrasse Tyson's disappointed.
I don't care.
The cosmos is disappointed.
Well, maybe if you made your show length more consistent, I wouldn't be disappointed.
All right, then. 1.5, just because of the occasional 4-minute episodes.
It's not occasional. There's a lot of them.
All right. Fair enough. I'm going to give it a 2. This is one of my favorite shows that we've found so far. Like you and I were talking the other day about what's your favorite show that you didn't listen to before we reviewed it.
This one's yours.
I think this one's mine so far. I definitely will stay subscribed. I really enjoy Neil deGrasse Tyson, but I enjoy this show even more than I thought I was going to. It's a great show for me. There you go. So that is our review of Startalk Radio. You can find them online at startalkradio.net. That's where you can subscribe to the show and check it out for yourself. You can find us online at podonpod.com, and we'll be back on Wednesday with another episode, this time talking about blurry photos. Yeah. Until next time,
I'm Josh.
And I'm Joel. Farewell, and keep looking up.
Are you wanting something funny? Are you wanting something smart? A show on astral projection or the history of art? Do you want to learn a language or how to play guitar? Just leave it up to Joel and Josh. Pod on pod. Pod on pod.
Pod on Pod is a proud member of the Procast Network, a Procreate production. Procreate is a community of artists in film, music, the digital arts, and fine arts that helps them connect and collaborate on projects. You can find out more at teamprocreate.com. For more great podcasts from the Procast Network, check out Movie Buzzed. Every week, your host, Zach, and some special guests review a new film. It's time for good friends, a great movie, and a good buzz. The Pod on Pod theme song was written and produced by Adam Dale. You can find more information about him on our website, as well as links to his forthcoming album, Cats and Dogs. Our musical guest this week is Andrew Reddy.